What's up guys, I'm Phoenix Master 1 and welcome back for some more Fire Emblem Heroes. And this is gonna be my Forma building guide for this month's Hall of Forms featuring Brunnya, Winter Fae, Summer Lilina, and Larum. So I'll be going over my opinion of these units and if you should be using a Forma Soul on them or not, especially if you're a free-to-play player. And even if you're not, it's extremely important to get the bang for your buck, so I'll be going over the best skills that you could get on these units if you're interested in getting them. And if you've got any kind of doubt or question about Forma Souls or Forma Units, I have a comprehensive video on that topic in the description, so make sure to check that out. And if you do end up enjoying, then make sure to far save and near save that like and subscribe button, just like Winter Fae. So that's it, let us begin. Brunnya is pretty much the star of this Hall of Forms and the unit which most people are going to be trying to get, because Brunnya is a really good free-to-play unit and honestly one of the best free-to-play units as an Ether Raids tank, especially in Astra season. Fimble Vetter, her weapon, is a big part of that reason because it's a really good weapon in Ether Raids especially. So at start of combat, if she's got any kind of penalty on her or if she's below full health, then she can neutralize any kind of debuff on herself and she gets +4 to all of her stats. So the debuff neutralization is extremely good in today's meta when we have got so many debuffs just running around, and that's why Brunnya ends up being a really good unit to be used in Ether Raids, and I can see many people trying to get her or even people who are building her up because she needs a lot of premium skills to function in Ether Raids, and this is pretty much the best opportunity to get all of these without really spending up any kind of orbs. Now even though Brunnya is still a really good unit to be used in the modern times in Ether Raids, I feel like she's not really at her peak like she was maybe like last year. The reason being is that the overall power level of the game has gone up tremendously in past few months. So Brunnya can at times just struggle to land kills or even just get overwhelmed by a lot of these new units that hit really hard. So Brunnya is going to be running into those problems. So she's not like the only tank that you should be using in the Astra season. She could definitely be like part of one of your teams and that can definitely help you, but she's not like a solo carry anymore like she was in her peak time and in her prime. But still, if you're struggling in Ether Raids offense, then she can be a really good candidate to get because you could just save up the grails and also get a lot of the premium skills which she definitely needs to function. But on the other hand, if you're not really using her at +10 or if you don't really want to +10 merge her, then getting a one-off copy of her is not going to be helpful at all and I wouldn't really recommend that. And if you already are using units like Guinevere or Micaiah with Null Counter Disrupt or even Brave Hector, then Brunnya could be a bit redundant for your roster as you already have blue units who can do a similar role to her. So at the end of the day, she's a really good option, and even if you have her at +10 merge, then this could be a pretty nice chance of getting some other premium skills on her that you could utilize in other areas of the game. So the first build is pretty much the perfect build which I would suggest to you if you haven't really invested into Brunnya whatsoever. And this is the build which you're going to be seeing a lot in Ether Raids in general, with attack speed solo 4 and also null follow up and pulse smoke. For her weapon, she doesn't really have too many options when it comes to premium blue tomes. You're mainly going to be using Fimble Vetter at the end of the day, but still it's for the aesthetic, so Flora Guide is pretty much the best premium blue tome that you could get. Juicy Wave is also an option. And you definitely want to go with attack speed solo 4 because this build allows Brunnya to function in both phases. So she goes in there, snipes a unit, and gets danced and snipes another unit and then just sits there and takes the hits. I wouldn't really recommend close foil or close counter on Brunnya in the current environment of the game because she definitely needs that extra speed and attack stat, and not being able to attack melee range units can actually help her many times in collection of the pots because dancers and units like Mirabilis will simply just attack her and you can just collect the pots without really worrying about killing the last unit. Pulse Smoke still helps you even though infantry pulse teams are really not common in Vault of Heaven. Still, you do find units with pre-charge specials from time to time, so it does help. So definitely the first build is something which you have to consider if you haven't really thought about investing into her. And now we move on to the other options if you have already invested into Brunnya. So if you already have the solo skill on her, then you can try to get the ideal skill. It doesn't have the best synergy with her Fimble Vetter, but still it's a really nice premium option that you can snag. And lull attack speed is also a really nice alternate option to null follow up, and at times you can switch these up, and joiner of attack can also help you, especially if you want to use her in something like arena with B dual infantry, and their lull skill also helps. You can also use the third build which I'm showing, and this is pretty much the alternate Ether Raids offense build. I feel like the first build is superior though because it has the mixed phase potential, but this third build is basically enemy phase oriented, so it pretty much uses Iceberg on her with Special Spiral and Distant Defense and makes her into a really strong mage tank. You can go with Pulse Smoke, but if you already have that, then Fatal Smoke is a pretty nice option as well. This build, I'm not the biggest fan of it because you don't really have the player phase power like the first build with attack speed solo 4. And then we move on to the other alternate builds. Null Counter Disrupt is also an option for Brunnya if you already have Null Follow Up on her. And a tier 4 stand skill is a pretty nice option as well. This is also only enemy phase option, and I feel like the solo skill is much better on her in today's metagame environment. But still, it's an option if you want to pick up more premium skills. Panic Smoke is also a nice premium option. And then if you want to use her in Ether Raid's defense, then you can definitely go with Sturdy Impact and have Fatal Smoke or even Time Pulse in Slot C and have lull attack speed, so she can definitely get decently bulky on Ether Raid's defense, and maybe you can use her with some kind of pre-charge special. Winter Fae is actually the first armor unit that we have got in Hall of Forms after the save skills have been a thing. So Winter Fae is a green armor dragon, and she does have Glittering Breath, which is actually a pretty good weapon with save skills, and her base kit is quite decent. We've actually obtained one ephemera copy of her for free a couple of months back, so if you do snag this Winter Fae from the Hall of Forms, then you can easily get +1 merge on her, which is extremely good. So Winter Fae is mainly going to be popular among players to get in this Hall of Forms because of the save skills that we can obtain from Hall of Forms, and that is really great because the metagame, especially in Ether Raids, has been really oppressive with high threat range units, so far save, near save can definitely help you in that regard. But still, I feel like she's not the best user of the save skills because green color is not the best when it comes to that, unless your name is Brave Edelgard, Gustav, or Brave Ephraim even, or even like Didu to an extent. And Winter Fae is none of those units, and the reason why I say that is because if you run her with near save, then Legendary Seaguard is going to be hitting extremely hard with his pre-charge special, and Eliwood can also be really annoying to her. I don't really see Eliwood that much in Vault of Heaven, I guess, nowadays, but still, it's something to consider. And if you run her with far save, then it's going to be much worse for you because Dual Lift is extremely popular, as well as Legendary Lilina, and both of them can just melt through, Winter Fae if you're running far save on her and depending on her. And there's also Thracier with that dragon effective damage if you decide to use her in the Astra season. So she's not the best option for the save skills, but I guess she's still decent if you're really wanting any kind of save armor unit. But I do feel like in future Hall of Forms, we're probably going to be seeing even better like armor units who can use save skills, so it might be worth saving for. I'm personally not going to be getting her, and I feel like she might not do the best job, especially in Vault of Heaven as a save armor unit. But still, if you want to invest into her, then here are some of the options. So for her breath, the main options you want to consider are Lightning Breath and Pale Breath. Both of these options save you feathers, and one of them also saves you grails, so you gotta decide which one you want to get, because the default Glittering Breath is already pretty good with the save skills, and Blackfire Breath is pretty much the only premium dragon breath, but she's not the best user of it because of being an armor unit and also not having access to Armored Stride. So Lightning Breath and Far Save can be a pretty good option, and the first build is pretty nice because it gives you the guard effect with Mirror Stance and also gives you debuff neutralization with Slick Fighter, which is extremely good for an armor unit with high stats. So definitely consider this if you're trying to get a far save build on her. And the second build is also a far save build but using attack res unity, so you could utilize that for, again, just dealing with the debuffs. And Dragon's Ire can be a pretty nice option because many times many of the mages have Sturdy Impact, Mirror Impact, so Dragon's Ire helps you break through those impact effects and still double them, which can be really nice. And she already comes with Vengeful Fighter if you do want to have an alternate, option for follow-up and special acceleration. But Dragon Ire is also a really nice and premium option that would be really hard to get on her otherwise. And if you want to use her with near save, then you definitely want to go with Sturdy Stance 3, and Dragon's Ire could be an option for slot B. Again, it can be pretty nice for dealing with, null follow-up units. But if you want to use her as a near save unit in Ether Raids, then after you get the Forma unit, try to run Bonfire and Vengeful Fighter for the best results. For the near save build, we don't really need Lightning Breath, so definitely try to go with Pale Breath as we can save some grails and even feathers. For a far save build, you can also go with Pale Breath and Distant Counter if you don't really like Lightning Breath and its special penalty or the lack of might. Then Pale Breath is definitely a pretty nice option. Crafty Fighter could be used for the guard effect, and with far save you could certainly utilize the distant counter build. Dragon Wall is also a really nice option on Winter Fae because her resistance is quite high, but still I would say that committing to a Dragon Wall build is a bit better if you're already investing into Winter Fae with Dragon Flowers and merges because it is going to be scaling up better. So the build in the middle is using near save with bracing stance, and Dragon Wall can be really nice with these resistance buffing slot A and slot C skill for the max damage reduction, which is really nice. And you can also go with a far save Dragon Wall build with mirror stance giving you that guard effect. So both of these Dragon Wall builds are a possibility if you want to invest into Fae a lot more. If you're running into the dilemma of which save skill you want to go on her, then it largely depends on the units and the barracks that you have. Like for my use case, I use Guinevere, Micaiah, and a lot of the ranged tanks for dealing with, the common cavalry threats. So for me, near save would have made more sense if I was going for her. So likewise, you could try to decide which save skill you really want on her. With her high resistance, she can function as a far save unit, but dual lift is definitely a unit that you have to watch out for. Larum is actually one of the rarest units in the entire game, and she's the only dancer out of Binding Blade. So in the weeks where we have Binding Blade in Resonant Battles or even in Limited Hero Battles, Larum can be a big help for many people. I don't really recommend getting her if you're a free-to-play player, of course, but if you're someone who spends money on this game and if you just want to complete your Pokédex, then yeah, she could be a pretty nice option to get, especially for those Resonant Battles and Limited Hero Battles providing that dance support. So she's nothing really impressive as a dancer honestly, and someone like Tethys is just a much better dancer, being able to use Temari Plus, which Larum cannot really do to that extent. So she's nothing really impressive, but the only thing is that she's the only Binding Blade dancer. So with these builds, I'm mainly trying to focus on Resonant Battles and the Abyssal content with Limited Hero Battles. So Broadleaf Fan is a pretty nice weapon if you just want to get that burst damage output, and I can definitely see this being pretty useful in something like Resonant Battles. And Fury 4 is a pretty nice option for a dancer, just increasing their stats. And at the end of the day, you're going to be running Wings of Mercy on her for her slot B. So try to get a good alternate option like maybe Loud Speed Defense. And for slot C, Joint Drive Attack is a really amazing universal support option. You can also go with the Courtly Fan build by utilizing Life and Death, Wind Sweep, and Time Pulse. So Ruptured Sky becomes a one-turn special, and by reducing her bulk with Life and Death, you can actually, just help the AI chase after her. So you could use Life and Death for the AI manipulation, especially for like Limited Hero Battles. So I can definitely see that being a thing. And you can also use the cantrip skills if you want to get those. They are going to be available for Larum, so that's a nice alternate option for a dancer, I guess. And attack speed push for is also an option to just increase her speed by a lot, so that she doesn't really get doubled by, many units in Resonant Battles who can have inflated stats. So overall, it doesn't really matter too much what you get on her. She's mainly going to be supporting you as a dancer, but still these are some pretty nice options on her. And the final unit for this batch is Summer Lilina. So she is a Red Dagger cavalry unit, and the main thing going for her is her high attack stat as a dagger unit, but outside of that, she doesn't really have very high bulk or very good speed, so that definitely holds her back. Her attack is the main thing, and she can definitely hit pretty hard. Most of the time, Summer Lilina is used as a fodder because Broadleaf Fan is pretty much one of the best, if not the best, inhittable daggers in the entire game, and its damage output is just absolutely amazing with the debuffs, which are already present in any kind of dagger, and you can already run like Temari Plus units like Tethys or Air to support the Broadleaf Fan user. So if you're going to be getting her in Hollow Forms, then obviously you cannot really fodder her. And she already comes with a pretty decent base kit. Like Broadleaf Fan is absolutely amazing as a dagger for high damage output, and attack rest solo is also not that bad for slot A. So with the premium skills, you're mostly going to be trying to go for the slot B and the slot C skills. So here are some of the options that you could run on Summer Lilina. So you could definitely try to get attack rest push as an alternate option. We don't really have attack defense fort trace available in this Hollow Forms, so you're not going to be able to get that. So lull attack defense is pretty much the best option right now. And you can also go with Panic Smoke, which can help you with the Broadleaf Fan when you're going to be using her. And Dragon Slasher is a pretty nice alternate option. You can also use her with Pumpkin, a Box, and Fury 4, and this could actually be a really nice option for Aether Raid's offense for setting up Wings of Mercy allies for their Gale Force. This is really good because Lilina is a dagger unit and you can get Disarm Trap on her. You cannot really get that in Hollow Forms because the Aether Raids and Arena exclusive skills do not show up. But if you do have extra Disarm Trap, and if you go with this kind of, self-recall build, then you can definitely set up a lot of Gale Force allies really easily. Still, this is quite a niche role, but quite interesting at the same time. And then at the end, if you want to invest into her heavily, then I would definitely suggest investing into her speed super boon, because she can actually get decently fast with that. And if you invest into her speed, so you pretty much want to run quarterly fan with wind sweep, but wind sweep can be obtained from the grail pool, so you can definitely go with lull speed defense as an alternate option. And you can just speed stack on her with Sparrow 3 and also joint drive speed. So only go for this if you're thinking of investing into her heavily with merges and dragon flowers. And if you're not, then the first two builds are pretty much the other options. So that is the Binding Blade Hall of Forms, and next month we're going to be getting Blazing Sword Hall of Forms. And in my opinion, this is going to be a very important Hall of Forms, because this is going to be setting precedents for the future Hall of Forms, because Blazing Sword has got a lot of blue units that they could pick from. There are a lot of armor units that they can pick from. So are they going to be going with multiple armor units, which might open up the safe skills? Or are they finally going to be giving us odd recovery on like Sarah or Priscilla? And are they going to be giving us Carla, who recently got a weapon refine, or one of the Hectors? So it is going to be setting precedents for future as well. And if they're going to be giving us the brave units in Hall of Forms after we have got Forma Soul for free. A lot of people are expecting Brave Hector, but I'm not really too sure, because he's like one of the strongest units in the entire game, easily top 3 units in the entire game. So I'm not really too sure if Brave Hector is going to be happening. I could see Valentine Hector happening, and these are my educated guesses. So I feel like the first one, the first row, is pretty optimistic, because it has Carla, who recently got a weapon refine, and also Valentine Hector. So I'm not really too sure if it's going to be happening. Pent and Luis are the pair, which I can definitely see happening in Hall of Forms in general, because they do like to go with the themes. And the second row is definitely something that is more possible. They could give us Eliwood and also just go with Valentine Lin and also Winter Jafar, and then just have Nils and completely skip on the colorless stone and just go with double blue, because we have a lot of blue units from Blazing Sword. So I could definitely see Nils happening, especially because Bright Ninian did happen last time. So Nils does make sense. So hope you all enjoyed this video. Make sure to share this video with your friends who are trying to get a Forma unit from this Binding Blade Hall of Forms. I went over a lot of the options and explained them in depth, so hopefully this could help them. I want to thank all of my YouTube members for their constant support, and if you enjoyed, then please be sure to leave a like and a comment. Helps me tremendously, and be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell, because YouTube sub boxes are about as functional as Winter Fae when she sees a dual lift coming at her. So with that said, I'll see you guys next time. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.